Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente, Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing them. Tonight we have Shadows on the Ice by Bandon CP, which I guess stands for creepypasta? So Bandon Creepypasta?
No idea.
Yeah. The author's actual name is Frank Phillips. They're on creepypasta.wiki. They have a huge selection of stories, as I discovered when I looked up their name or their account. In fact, this is actually part of I don't know if it's a series of continuity-wise stories, but they're just set in a same universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we might do them in the future, but that's going to be basically a journey in and of itself, kind of like the In Torment series was.
Mm-hmm.
So, which we still haven't finished. Anyway,
Worker Falls.
Yeah. Shadows on the Ice. However, I'm not doing the rundown. Gamer in Yellow is doing the rundown.
Because he asked me to, and I foolishly said yes.
Take it away, sir.
Alright, so. The story starts with the narrator, whose name is Tuck, which I'm assuming is short for Tucker.
Yeah. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yep. Saying that 16 days ago, himself and 3 of his friends took a 2-week vacation away from civilization. Earl is Tuck's longtime friend. They grew up together in Maysburg, Tennessee. His other 2 friends, Ricky and Mason, are from his current town of Andrew, Manitoba.
Woo! Canada!
Canada, yeah.
Oh, Canada.
Thanks. Ricky is a big guy who loves to eat. Mason is the He's interested in native customs and legends, and he's the most caring of the group, it seems.
Yeah, the bookworm, too.
Yes. And, but one thing that they all shared in common is they all like to hunt. So 2 weeks before Christmas, they get a cabin out in the middle of Saskatchewan to get away from modern life and hunt.
Woo, Canada!
Yeah!
Another province!
Our home and... Okay.
Our home and creepy land. There we go.
There you go. Slowly building a creepypasta version of our...
Much like how this story slowly builds up the tension and...
Yes.
Yeah.
So the way that I have laid this out is day-by-day basis to keep it straight.
Thank God.
So, day 1, this is what happens. They arrive at night, and they unpack. They planned to hunt when they were out there, but they couldn't get a permit because they weren't residents of Saskatchewan. Mason's worried about them getting caught, but the other 3 all reassure him they're miles away from everyone. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
So they go to sleep, wake up, day 2. They decide against hunting on the first full day there, instead just drinking and relaxing all day. They wanted to let it all out and be as loud as they wanted. So they ended up passing out drunk in, quote-unquote, more embarrassing positions than I would like to admit. So you can assume whatever you like of that.
Theater's of mine, motherfucker.
Indeed.
I don't know why I added the motherfucker at the end.
I don't know, it just had to be way more intense, I guess.
Yeah.
So then day 3 starts, they awake, and they find that they've eaten 2 days worth of food in that one day due to their drunken stupors. Ricky was the main reason. Apparently, while he was drunk, he deemed himself Food Santa, donning a Santa outfit and eating as much food as possible.
That's not how Santa works.
He's drunk, leave him alone. It's fine. He's Food Santa, not Santa. It's different. He doesn't give gifts, he takes food.
So he's Krampus. He takes things away.
Maybe.
Continue.
But anyways,
apparently decided added commentary to this rundown.
that's fine. So after shaking off their hangovers, they gear up and go hunting. They managed to kill 4 rabbits, 3 squirrels, and 5 birds in their first outing over the span of a few hours. They were doing this illegally, so they said, fuck it, we'll kill as much as we want. Mwahaha.
Yeah, we're douchebags.
Pretty much. And that's what happens that day. So day 4, they go out hunting again. Got the same number of animals, but it took them all day instead of 3 hours. So they were more sparse. Day 5. They started getting excited about their hunting trips now, as on this trip, they got a little bit of small game, but they see elk tracks 3 miles away from the cabin. So they follow them and come across a lone calf that's crying. Tuck tells everyone to shut up, Mason doesn't want them to kill it, but as he's bringing up this concern, Tuck shoots it in the leg and then 3 more times to kill it. They all laugh at him interrupting him. And then Ricky notices that the sky has the northern lights all going through it after this point. And the sky is glowing a deep green blue with red flickers through it, quote unquote, like splashes of blood.
Which, okay, well, this is actual thought. Sorry,
that's fine. They drag the calf back to the cabin. The walk back was fine, but Tuck did mention that he felt like they were being watched the whole time, and he wonders if they were all thinking the same. Day 6, about a mile from where they shot the calf, they find a handful of large elk. Elk. I wrote down elf, but it's elk. I'm pretty sure it's not elf.
It's elk. I mean, who's to say what those creatures are, what the creatures actually were?
I suppose. Yeah. Either way, large elk.
I mean, it does describe what they were, but
they're
anyway,
elk.
Yes, they're elk.
We're talking about elk right now.
Yes.
So, they see all of them, and they all manage to kill one, except Mason. And but they only brought one of them back. They left the rest out there.
I believe he fires and he misses.
Did he fire a second time and also miss, and then pass it in the snow and wait with the popsicles?
He did shoot a second time, but by that point the elk had ran off. So yeah,
he missed both times.
Yeah, he missed both times.
That's fine.
To continue our favorite gross joke.
Yeah, it pretty much is. So day 7, they celebrate due to the big game hunt previously. They have another day of relaxing, partying, and drinking, and Food Santa takes another chunk out of their food stocks again. Goddamn Food Santa. Ricky cuts down a tree and brings it in so they can make a tree out of it and decorate it with random shit and make a start of eggnog curtains. And they sleep kind of uneasy, like they're eyeing the window for some reason. And then day 8, they all awake with no hangovers. They get back to hunting, and they want to keep hunting elk, so they find them 2 miles away. Tuck tells Mason that he has to go first because he hasn't killed the damn thing. Or he hasn't killed one of them. I guess he's killed other shit. But Mason aims, and he misses, of course. Misses every time. But when they all start giving him shit for him missing and scaring them off, he says, like, we've already killed 3 of them. We don't have to kill more. But Earl's like, well, shit, I want to kill some more. Because he's getting bloodthirsty, apparently.
Yep.
But with a decent amount of daylight still, they head out to track the rest of them down. Along the paths, they find wolf prints. And Tuck excitedly asks them if they want to hunt wolves now. Mason questions this because he thinks that it's illegal to do so, but they completely ignore him. They don't even answer him. And they just do it. But they follow the tracks until it gets too dark and then head back to the cabin. But they know there's wolves out there now. Mm-hmm. So day 9. This day was colder than normal. But they're going to go out hunting anyways, because that's what they do. Hour and a half into their trip, they find some small animal remains and then stumble across a large pack of wolves fighting over a corpse on a frozen pond. Earl brings up that he hasn't heard any howling, and the wolves aren't making any noise while they're fighting over this thing for some reason.
It's very fishy.
Mm-hmm. They're on a pond, so it's probably a lot of fish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of fish. Then
to go with your favorite Godzilla.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's the only Godzilla joke, really. But yes, as they're bickering over like the sound of them, one of the wolves perks up and looks in their direction. So then they all aim and take shots. All of them killing a wolf. So even Mason, for once, while the others run off. Tuck killed the biggest one, which is probably the alpha. And they'll celebrate their kills and take them back to the cabin. Back inside, they cook them up. They cook up small game from the previous day. But their fireplace is dying out, and Earl offers to go outside and get some firewood. He's out for half an hour before they start realizing he hasn't come back from such a simple job.
Yeah.
So Ricky goes out to find him. Comes back 2 minutes later, freaking out, asking them they have to come see this. Ricky's gone. There's blood in the snow, and trails going out of the woods. So they grab their guns and go after it, and follow the trail. They follow for half an hour, unable to find Earl, but Ricky finds something, which is a naked body of a man, torn and chewed with his head ripped off. Mason denies that it's Earl, but Tuck finds the head later, under a pile of rags in the snow nearby. So, yeah, it's Earl.
Yeah, he's dead, Jim.
He's a little dead. Then, at this point, they decide that they need to get out of here, so they run back to the cabin. Tuck felt like there was eyes watching him like more intensely this time when he's running back. But they slept through the night when they got back, and but Ricky was waking up to nightmares. Understandably so.
Yep.
Day 10, they have a kind of depressing morning. None of them really wanted to eat. But they discuss what happened to Earl and decide to blame the wolves. So, in their anger, they all storm out of the cabin to go hunt them like hardcore now.
Yep.
Searched all day, but they couldn't find them. The snowfall covered up the blood tracks. It took until nightfall to even find out where Earl's body was again. But Ricky hung a red flag on it so they could find it again later if necessary. On the tree, I guess, not on the corpse.
If necessary. In case we want to report this to the cops and, get Earl's body back to civilization.
Yes. If they wanted to be good human beings.
Yes. Well, they've kind of failed that a couple of times.
Yeah, but, a friend's death might trigger some... It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But because of the geography of the area, they assume that the wolves are to the east. From the east, because there's a pond one way and the cabin the other way and cliff
they
the
track
other way.
down the wolves.
Yeah. But they eventually do stumble across the wolves' den. There's bones and carcasses all over the place. Mason did notice something odd. The fact that the wolves were sleeping in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Which is weird because they're supposed to be out hunting now. But they each climbed a tree, lined up the shots, and on Tucker's shot, they all started firing. They killed 3 of them, wounding 2 others, and 1 got away uninjured. They inspect the cave and find Native American drawings on the walls. And there's drawings of owls, wolves, and another animal that look kind of feline. So they continue to go back outside and keep hunting the wolves because they want to kill all of them now. The sky's even redder than before now. But they track down the 2 injured wolves pretty easily and finish them off. And then on their path to get the last one, they have a weird static feeling. And I don't really know.
It's kind of like you have it's a way I kind of thought it was
it's like a tingly feeling.
Yeah, like a tingling feeling, electricity in the air or something like that, and maybe just almost like a sense of mental confusion.
Yeah, but the sky's going black with clouds and the snow picks up into a blizzard, and they notice yellow eyes in the bushes. Mm-hmm. They're assuming it's a cougar at this point. They wait there for a long time, not even moving because they don't want to spook it into killing them. Mason nearly runs off a couple times because he's trying to bug out. But at some point, after 10 minutes, Ricky runs, and they all follow, and the creatures follow them as well, running after them. Ricky trips on one of the carcasses that they killed earlier and screams as Tuck and Mason keep running, and Ricky's torn to pieces behind them.
Because they don't have to outrun the monsters, they just got to outrun their friend.
Yeah, pretty much, that's how it is. So they get back to the cabin and barricade it up. It's agreed that they should not leave, but leave in the morning because it's safer to do so. So they pack up their shit. They attempt to sleep, guns in hand while they're sleeping by the fire, but around 3 a.m. they're awoken to the sound of screeching metal outside. Run upstairs to look out the window, and the truck's engine has been torn apart and the tires slashed. So they're kind of annoyed, but they go back to sleep, feeling it's safer to investigate it in the morning. Day 11. On inspecting the truck the next morning, engine was destroyed, tires slashed, despite it being animals that did the damage. So it's weird that they would have targeted the tires specifically.
And how they could have done that. Because I don't think even normal animal like normal wolves or normal cougars, I don't even think really. If somebody out there wants to comment, I don't think even a grizzly could rip open a car metal paneling. Or am I just underestimating the power, the sheer strength of an animal?
I'd say a large bear could probably do it, but not a wolf.
Yeah, not a wolf or a cougar.
No. Well, yeah.
There'd be scratches, but I don't think they'd be ripped right through and able to get at the maybe the tires for sure. The tires are just rubber, but I don't think they could get that.
These are wolves the size of horses.
They don't know that yet.
Okay, that's true. They don't know that yet. Or they suddenly become that.
Yeah,
or they're different ones, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
spoilers. So either way, they're kind of discouraged and they stay inside for 2 days. So day 13 now, and hearing some howling outside, they look outside. And see some shadows out on the ice moving behind the trees.
Shadow drop.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Sorry, I had that in my actual thought notes. So
that's fine.
Let's cut that one out. Slash that one out.
Mm-hmm. But they decide to take shifts, staying awake, so both of them aren't ever sleeping because of, outside. Day 14, Tuck wakes up and asks what's new. Mason went out early in the morning to get some food to bring in, because they're kind of low on food, and he finds out that the icebox has been torn apart and raided. So now they only have enough food for 2 days because of Food Santa taking all their shit.
God damn it, Food Santa.
Yeah. And Tuck says, well, they can still go out and hunt small shit, but Mason doesn't even want to leave the house because of what's been going on. Like 2 friend deaths in the past couple of days.
Yeah.
Understandable. But he eventually does say, okay, we'll go out tomorrow. I just need a day to chill. But Tuck gets pissed at this whole food Santa situation because they would have so much more food at this point. But and he gets wasted, grabs his gun. He's like, fuck it, I want to eat some meat. I gotta go outside. So he opens the door, blast of snow hits him in the face. He goes to walk through and he steps on something squishy. Looking down, it's the head of Ricky.
Yep.
So he freaks out, goes back inside, slams the door. And then Mason takes him upstairs and they just sleep, and that's about it.
Yeah, just day 14. Isolation increasing.
Kind of, yeah. But yeah, they talk about that they might be werewolves.
Yeah, that's what their first speculation. Well, you know what? Honestly, it is. I'm not going to say it's like it's not the right answer, but it is like it is a go-to in today's society. Wolves, like weird, creepy wolf things. Somebody's going to bring up werewolves.
Yeah, because they see the big shadows that they were seeing previously get closer, and it's in the shape of a wolf, but it's more sloped with its head flatter, and it's as big as a horse.
I feel like Mikey's expression when I said that. I feel like he'd be the one in the situation that'd be like, "You're a fucking idiot."
Yep.
Yeah, but either way,
don't bring up werewolves when in this situation.
Either way, assuming that they're werewolves, they also assume that silver and crosses are their bane, so they go searching for that and find
and wolf's bane, or was it?
Yeah, wolf's bane as well,
which is, I don't think it grows. Does it grow in Canada or North America?
I don't know.
Pretty sure it doesn't. But
either way, all they find is some silverware in a Bible, so nothing really to help. Day 15, Mason's reading his book still, and he seems to know what the creatures are now. They're not werewolves, they're Wahila.
Yeah.
Is probably how it's pronounced. They have the same physical description as them, but they're normally much smaller. But it does say in the book that they bite people's heads off, which is exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Mason looked in the book more because he figures they can't be werewolves because it hasn't been a constant full moon, and there's nowhere for the werewolves to live while they're human around here.
Now, I mean, if they're Shadowrun Lucaroos, they're constantly wolfmen, and they only get frenzied and whatnot when the full moon happens. Also, if they're lichens, like from Underworld, they can change to werewolf form without the moon assistance. But that's pop culture references bleeding into our creepypasta. Anyway, continue.
Those are valid points, though, that these people may also have consumed or considered, because they're considering these traditional aspects of a werewolf.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it could be any
also,
sort of werewolf.
if it's a Canadian loup-garou, as in French Canadian, if this was set in Quebec, not Saskatchewan, I would also suggest a bane of them would be onions, because apparently that's a thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently, and also loup-garous in Quebec are scary as fuck. They don't just change into wolves; they change into wereboars and werebears and werefrogs and weird shit like that. Anyway, sorry, we're still in the rundown.
We are. Day 16. Tuck wakes up to gunshots happening, so shit's going down. Mason's shooting out the window of the second floor in the room he's trying to sleep, claiming they're close enough that he can see him to shoot them. But there's still too much snow, though, so he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go get closer. And Tuck asks him if he's planning on going outside. Mason says, yeah, it's only a matter of time before they kill us both, so why wait? I'm just gonna go out fighting. Tuck stands in his way, ordering, saying they just want him to leave, but Mason aims his gun at him, ordering him to get the fuck out of his way. So Tuck does move. He says that he won't let him back in if he goes out. He's like, fine, fuck it, I don't want back in anyways, and he leaves. Tuck hears a couple of gunshots, but by the time Tuck gets upstairs to see what's happening, it's silent outside, and he sees, as Tuck's loading his gun and aiming, he can see Mason's headless body being dragged away already. But he takes a couple shots at the creature, and he knows that the shots hit, but nothing happens. It doesn't even flinch. So for the rest of the day, he just sits in the house reliving the events of the past 2 days.
Also, I apologize. They're not actually called loup-garous. They're called rougarous in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah, loup-garous are Creole, which are basically basically the French, the southern United States French, Orleans, New Orleans stuff.
Oh.
Whereas rougarous are the North American, or the Canadian French iteration of werewolves.
Rougarous are also the playable werewolf race in Pathfinder, aren't they?
That is true. They're the one that has a animal, or has a like half animal, half human, like base form, and then they turn into like they can become like an animal, I believe, or they can become a human. I think.
I don't know about that. I think they're just mostly furries. But we're sidetracked. The Tangent Police are going to murder us.
Yeah.
So
they're on their way now.
Yeah, day 17.
I can hear the sirens.
Anyways, day 17. Morning comes, goes upstairs to look outside, see if it's safe. Sees Mason's head, or his headless body, bloody and covered in feces, laid outside like it's there for him to see. Tuck goes back downstairs, throwing the tree in the fire to keep it lit, eating the last of the food that's there. As night returns, so do the wolves and the howls.
They're also getting closer every night.
Yes.
Like they've been like circling closer and closer. Like now they're at, I think at this point they're actually on the porch.
My next line is, they were sounding like they were only a few feet away from the cabin now.
I apologize.
That's fine.
I just wanted to bring up that they were getting crouching, like, because I couldn't remember if you actually said that.
I didn't. Yeah. And it's encroaching.
You know what I mean. Tomato, tomato. Tomato, tomato. Jimmy, it's the same word on the teleprompter.
Yeah, I know. Either way, knowing that he's doomed, Tuck starts writing this entire message that we've been reading this whole time, recording the events of what's happening here.
Yep.
He just wants to focus on something so he doesn't go nuts, and he hopes that someone finds this. So the next day, he's surprised to be alive by the morning, but nothing really happens. Night comes again. He's barricaded downstairs with all the furniture. The door to his bedroom is also barricaded with whatever he can find, beds and all that shit.
I believe he's like his bedroom's upstairs. Like,
yes. Yeah. And he can hear the sound of like splintering wood and the door breaking. He's aiming his pistol at the door while he writes this with the other hand. And he can hear the furniture being dragged away from downstairs and the sounds of innumerable claws scraping as they walk up the stairs. And he can hear them stop just outside of his. And that's where
that's where it ends, because they Dagoned it, and he got attacked, or he jumped out the window.
That's true. He may have just bailed. if every single one was in the house,
he'd still be alive.
I don't.
I doubt it. I think he got chomped.
Probably.
Yeah. So that was the very long-winded.
We were recording
20-minute rundown.
Yeah, I was going as fast as I could too.
I apologize for the commentary. Just no, I mean our listeners expect it.
We were either going to be saying it now or during.
Yeah. Also, it's something I'm going to bring up because I'm probably going to forget about my actual thoughts. I kind of wish that they just kept circling and because they're supernatural creatures. So at this point, they could be assumed to be supernatural creatures. So I just kind of want them the creaking he's hearing is from all the walls as they're just basically pressing themselves against the walls and crushing the entire building as they're circling around it, to the point where by the end they basically basically brought down the building by just crumpling it.
That'd be kind of interesting.
That would be a really that'd
be good claustrophobia kind of horror.
Yeah, it's being compacted kind of thing.
Yeah.
And worried about the building collapsing, so he has to jump out the window and
or contact R2.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those.
And tell them shut down all the compagers on the base level or whatever it is. I can't.
Yeah.
No, shut them all down. Anyway. So anyway, moving on to everyone tolerates the Grandma Inquisitions at this point. So, the advertisement explicitly stated that the cabin had absolutely none of the modern luxuries the modern world provided for us. I think there's just one too many moderns. None. You really could have just gone away with had absolutely none of the luxuries the modern world provided us. None of the modern luxuries that the modern world provided us.
Or modern luxuries that the world provides us.
Yeah. Exactly.
One or the other.
My next one. Right. This is going to be part of a ongoing thing with this story. So here's the quote. We planned on hunting, of course, though Mason was a little worried about us being discovered by authorities, as we had not been able to purchase hunting licenses due to the not being official residents of Saskatchewan. Great, this is going to be a story with a lot of run-on sentences. Because that one's a shorter one, but there are a couple of run-on sentences I stumbled upon in the story. My next one. just want to make sure where the issue is. Okay, there it is. Earl, I also noticed, seemed to be A-ing the windows, too. Though we never mentioned this phenomenon to one another. The phenomena of A. It's supposed to be he's eyeing the windows.
Yep. You don't know that. He could have gone insane at this point.
Like, A.
Yeah.
He's actually in on it. He's the spy. He's in on it, even though he got eaten later on.
He's seeing his reflection in the windows.
It's like, the fonts. There's a jukebox in the cabin, just like bang.
Yeah, totally.
Even though there's no technology or luxuries. And then we move on to. Does that also mean? I guess there's no fridge or anything like that. There's like no power at all.
No,
it's completely. Yeah, because that's the.
There's an icebox outside.
Right. Yeah, there was an icebox outside. So yeah, they're. Yeah, wow, they are really roughing it.
100%.
Mm-hmm. This ain't no KOA. This is like true outdoorsy, like hunting.
Yep.
So moving on to the next quote. Ricky, he's not out there. Saw some blood on the snow and trails leading off into the woods. Grab the guns too. Wait, that's supposed to say Earl, right? Not Ricky, because Ricky's the one saying that.
Oh, he's distraught.
Yeah. Sorry, I just when I first when I read that, I was like, I think that's Ricky. Like, I think the quotation is actually like the quotation in front of Ricky is actually supposed to be before Ricky, or I mean after Ricky. So it's like Ricky said, like, or like we should probably say like Ricky like stammered, he's not out there, like not just Ricky. He's not out there.
Yeah.
Ricky, you're Ricky.
Of course Ricky's not out there. You're inside now.
Exactly.
What's the matter?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So on to the next one. We slept fitfully that night, and Ricky awoke us several times from downstairs, where he slept by the fireside. So I'm pretty sure it's just woke up, like woke us several times, not awoke us.
Also fitfully?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah, that's actually a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, fitfully is a word. I actually had to like go on to Google and like look up how like awoke is used versus woke. And as far as I could tell, awoke is not how you would use that word. Like it would not be Ricky awoke us. It's Ricky woke us several times.
Or we were awoken by.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would also be
What's
acceptable.
fitfully mean, though?
Fitfully, it's just basically like you're sleeping in a fit, like you're not sleeping very well. So like if you have like a really shitty sleep, you had a fitful sleep.
Already, I've literally never heard that as a descriptor. Never.
I've used it several times, and I've heard it used multiple times.
Not me.
Okay,
not under the rock I live under.
That's fair. You learned another word today.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like having a fitness sleep, you know?
It's like you got dumbbells and you just...
Oh, it's like a... God damn it.
Get the shake weights going.
That's another way to use it. I hate the English language.
I know, me too.
On to the next... Oh, here's another redundancy. The snow whipped at our faces as we blundered through the snow.
Blundered?
Blundered.
As I thought you said blundered.
No, as we used Blender on our laptops running through the snow.
Yeah, totally.
No, as we blundered, as in like, as we like.
Is that a verb for making shit in Blender?
No,
it's blundered. I'm blundering right now.
Okay, anyway, I think a word to like fix that would actually be like drifts in the snow. So it's like the snow whipped at our faces as we blundered through the drifts. Like,
what does it actually say?
It says, as we blundered through the snow. But it repeated snow again. Like, basically, the snow whipped at our face as we blundered through the snow. So repeated it in the same sentence. And it's like, I get, like, the snow whipping at their face is sky snow versus ground snow. But it's still, like, the same use of the word snow and does not differentiate between what snow is hitting your face versus what snow you're blundering through.
Yeah.
Like, it could also still be snow that's, like, whipping, like...
Because it's hitting it so hard that you gotta, like, push through.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like that should be fixed, like, change the word. And then this one here. It was nestled under an overhang in the side of a hill, with roots spreading their fingers over the walls and floor of the enclave, with bones and carcass strewed about. So, two things actually need to be fixed here. So, with bones and carcasses strewn about. Because
what was it? Strewn?
It's carcass?
Yeah.
Strewed. Strewed is not a word. It's actually not how you would call it. It's actually supposed to be strewn.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one.
Maybe it's one carcass that is strewn everywhere.
Then and a carcass strewn about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would also accept an A before strewn or before carcass.
Mm-hmm.
To differentiate that it's a singular carcass. But.
A single carcass or a bunch of carcasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. We eventually, after grueling struggle through the snow. So it needs to be like, I feel it should be like this. We eventually, after a grueling struggle through the snow.
Yeah.
Yada, 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 yada. No, that's it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything misspelled. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's that one. And then my last one. We were quiet for the rest of the day, conversing and whispers and throwing hectic glances to the door and windows, even though the shutters were closed and bolted tight. I feel like it should say conversing through whispers, not conversing and whispers. We were quiet the rest of the day, conversing through whispers and throwing hectic glances at the door and windows. I feel like that's a lot more clear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as to what
they're only talking through whispers.
Yeah.
Is what's trying to be said.
And those are all the grammar questions I cared to worry about. But let it be known that there are a lot of run-on sentences. And as you're about to say, probably a lot of ands and front butts.
Yep. So much, in fact, that I have a conjunction junction.
And now, a conjunction junction with Mikey. The E stands for evil. Take it away, buddy.
Okay. I'm going to point out that I included the dialogue ends just because it seemed more funny.
Okay, so for disclosure, the ones with the dialogue get a pass because they're dialogue, but it's funnier to add them into the story, into your rundown, or into your conjunction junction.
Yeah, it adds more to it.
Yes.
Okay.
And it felt good too. But we persisted nonetheless, and after just an hour and a half came across the remains of small animals. And soon after that we came across a frozen pond with a large pack fighting over the corpse of a calf. And they're fighting each other.
Okay, Ricky's Canadian, not West, not Southern United States. Yeah. So it'd be like, and he's fighting them though. Don't you know?
You know, you just talk in your normal accent.
Yeah.
You have a Canadian accent.
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah.
And they're fighting each other right now, but they aren't making any noise. And you were getting your gaunch in a wad over that missed shot, he goaded. And I froze. But I ignored them, trying to keep the hot image of Earl's head out of my eyelids.
Okay, I understand why the hot was used in the story, because it's like basically burned into his retina kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you using that without the context kind of makes that really disturbing.
Yeah. Also because, he's not even, told that he's dead right now. It's, a different kind of
that head.
Yeah. Okay, please continue.
Hey man, we don't judge. It's 2019.
I know, it's just, it makes it a lot funnier compared to what is actually happening.
We're 12.
Yes.
Alright, so I gotta restart that sentence.
Do you?
Yes. Okay. But I ignored them, trying to keep the hot image of Earl's head out of my eyelids, while snow pricked at my face. And it was for this reason that we set off into the snow-covered woods that day, for we sought vengeance. But neither I or Mason paused in our tracks. But I did not care, for the sight of the cabin felt like a godsend, and Mason and I barreled through the door and locked it tight. But we need to leave as soon as possible. And...
And? Is that it? Or is there more?
Is that a whole
That was the quote.
It's and.
Oh my god. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But the moment I opened the door, I was smacked in the face by a whirlwind of blinding snow and that tension in the air. But in the shadows, they grew dark and obscure. And they're smart, too! And look it! But...
Keep going.
But we sure as hell don't have any of those in here. And the only damn things edible we have anymore are some piddly little granola bars and cookies. And I don't think they're werewolves. And they have light fur. And where would they live when they were in their human forms? And I don't know if I don't know if guns work or not. And though our stomachs rumbled and growled, neither of us had the heart to step outside, away from the safety of the wooden walls of the cabin. But before I could say anything, Mason pointed the rifle at my head.
Seems like a little bit of it. Whoa, buddy, calm down.
Just escalated there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
His eyes dead and stony. And if I'm gonna die, then I'm gonna take as many of them as I can with me. But by the time I'd cocked it and pointed it out the window, his headless body was already being dragged back to the trees. And now they've paused right outside the...
Okay, so outside of the dialogue, because the dialogue gets an excuse, because that's how people talk. There's a lot of conjunctions that don't need to be there in the story. Which is hilarious because the writer, not the writer, but Tucker is supposed to be an English major. Hence why the story's kind of like, the style of the story kind of does feel a little pretentious as an English major, like as somebody who would be like creatively writing. It's like, and now I stand here before you. I kind of got that vibe of like, okay, like you got the style right of like being of somebody who writes, like, because
he's also at the point of him writing the first letter. All of his friends have died.
No, and there isn't that there is that excuse as well for that.
Yeah.
So, but like, yeah, and so like he's allowed. All like the character, all his friends have died, so he's given we can give him the pass of being distraught and maybe not thinking quite straight.
Yeah.
At that, like 15 days or 16 days into a spiral of isolation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and being surrounded on all sides by horrible creatures.
Yeah.
That want his head. Yeah. So, but yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of conjunctions.
Yeah.
Front conjunctions, yeah.
Your story did change the actual story quite a few times.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like Mason was just doing like this huge list. It's like, and we don't have food, and we don't have this, and they're not werewolves, and this and that, and I want to go kill them.
And then he pointed the gun. It's like, and if I'm gonna die, I'm taking them with me.
Yeah, and then at that point, Tucker just. It seems like he just takes that gun and aims it out the window, and then Mason goes outside unarmed, like he was going to cover him, and then he just dies.
It's like, by the time I got there, he was already dead.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have his gun.
If only someone didn't take it from him.
Yep. Although he only got 2-3 shots in the actual story, and then by the time Tucker had looked out the window, they were already dragging his corpse away.
He shot twice, yes.
Yeah.
But as you know, he missed both times.
And then woke up with
Mason.
and then woke up with his head removed
On a popsicle stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, What do you have there? Or is that the end of your...
No, that was just his conjunction.
That was just
Oh,
my
shit.
conjunction.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Okay.
I also have an it story.
Wow.
And now, an it story with Mikey. The E stands for evil. Take it away.
It became soon apparent afterwards that we all shared a passion for the hunt. It was for this reason that we decided to take up on an advertisement Earl had found online to rent out this cabin in the remotes of Saskatchewan for 2 weeks before heading back home for Christmas.
Case in point, run-on since.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the perfect getaway we'd all been looking for. The chance to feel alive and masculine. It shrieked, and I fired thrice more, finally bringing the beast down. It was about a mile away when Earl piped up from behind us. It's not Earl.
No, it's the thing! Kill it!
Wow. And Earl is saying this. Earl is saying it's not Earl.
Yeah.
It can't be. It's gotta be someone else. I mean, Earl's gotta still be out there. It felt like my stomach had dropped. It was not until nightfall that we again found Earl's body, with only a finger peeking out of the snow.
The middle one, of course.
It's the middle finger.
It was late into the night when we found the wolves' den. It was nestled under an overhang in the side of a hill.
I just need to stop you for a second. Did it actually say wolves' den? Or
Wolves
just
with an apostrophe.
Just apostrophe, not like another S, though?
No.
Okay. Sorry, because the way you said it, it sounded like that was spelled right. Because it's supposed to be wolves' den. Like, that's how you say it with the apostrophe. Not wolves'
The wolves' den.
not to audio Nazi you, but man, it's been a long time coming from those Patreon episodes.
Yeah, that's true. You get this one.
Yeah. Continue.
It was nestled under an overhang in the side of a hill, with roots spreading their fingers over the walls and floor of the enclave, with bones and carcass strewed about. It was as we were searching for the third wolf, the one who'd escape uninjured, that we felt it. It was subtle at first, but soon there was a kind of electric static in the air, making our hair frizz and cling to our faces. It was true. It was that night, too, when the howling began, if you could call it that. It was as I was about to change out of my clothes when I first noticed the shadows on the ice, tucked away behind the trees.
He's changing out of his clothes while he's still outside. Alright.
It's not a very good idea.
Like, they're on the hunt to get the third one. It's like, I'm just going to change out of these.
Oh, God, it's getting so hot.
Yeah.
It's only 6. It's all gone. It was Ricky's head. It's Ricky! It's not him, it's his head! It was a wolf.
How could they confuse Ricky with a
The
wolf?
wolf is now done. Anything is possible when you...
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
It was the biggest goddamn wolf I'd ever seen, and as Mason had said, it must have been as big as a horse. Its head was flat, and its back was sloped down like a coyote's, yet the fur was a silvery shade of gray that seemed to glow against the snow when under the crimson moonlight. It was later in the morning that Mason woke me up, clutching the book in his hands. It says they're from the Northwest Territories, but I guess we're far enough north, some could be down here too.
Is he yelling?
Yeah, no. You always yell the dialogue. Is that like
At least we know when it's
is that
dialogue.
different? Is
Yeah,
that
that's
how
how I'm
you're
differentiating.
differentiating? Okay, fair enough. Fair.
It feels more like a story than reality within these pages.
That's very accurate. So one thing I would like to point out, actually, something again bringing up from the whole like static in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's like kind of differentiating like when they transform between forms, because there were wolves before, and then suddenly there was that cougar creature. So I wonder if like the uninjured wolf transformed into the cougar, because there was on the wall of the den there was like the wolf, the owl, and the cat like thing, which is obviously a cougar.
I don't think they're the same creature.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, because they were tracking down the last one. They found it, and then off in the in the bush they saw the yellow
eyes. I thought they were
eyes.
tracking down the other injured ones, and then
they were tracking down the last uninjured wolf that survived. They found it, but they also saw yellow eyes in the bush.
But then a cougar clever girled them.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And it's not necessarily one cougar.
Yeah.
Because there was a howl all around them. Yeah. And then they bailed.
Yeah. Also, man. So, I mean, because there was like the weird cat thing. And then the wolf. Where was the owl in all this?
An owl was mentioned once.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was watching them.
Oh, okay, so we have the observer, the trickster, and the predator, I guess.
I suppose.
But, so, yeah. I just thought it would be cool, like, if, like, there's a sequel to this, and, like, it turned out that Tucker actually just did bail, like, jump through, like, defenestrate himself, Dagon style, after writing the story, and then, like, the second half of the story is him getting back down to, like, a motel in, like, in the nearest town, and writing the rest of his journey, which was him being chased by giant owl monsters.
An owl cried from above, and I saw it looked like a mangy animal slipping off into the bushes, yellow eyes glaring at us.
Oh, okay.
So it was all in the same area.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. All right. So, do you have any more than outside of your conjunction junction and its story?
Nope. That's it. You've got my other ones.
Corrections.
Oh, cool. All right, Gamer Neil, what do you got?
I got a few.
Cool.
First one's run on, oddly enough, but also has an odd placement of names, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It was pretty early on. We'd come dash Earl, Mason, Ricky, and I dash from the town of Andrew, Manitoba, where the four of us attended university. Myself passionately studying English, though for what ends I'll never know. That's all one sentence. I find that the placement of the names kind of strange. Yeah.
So also, that actually is a really nice foretell of like the story about of the ending of the story. Like, passion for English, but to what ends I'll never know. It's like, because he's about to die.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually true. A really good tell. Like, because you don't pick it up unless you reread the story or like you just think like remember that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good tell for the ending.
For sure. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. But the way I rewrote it, I don't know if it's better or not, but the way I see it, maybe Earl, Mason, Ricky, and I are from the town of Andrew, Manitoba, where the four of us attended university. Period. I was passionately studying English, for what ends I don't know.
Yeah.
Just to break it up and not have that weird section that's put out. It's like the sentence was read out. It's like, wait, I should put all their names in here. I'll just essentially bracket it in here. Mm-hmm. The next one's a run-on.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, I know. Earl and I had known since we were young, both of us hailing from Maysburg, Tennessee, and riding on full scholarships, such close companion helping to abate the loneliness that comes with traversing to a faraway place. I don't know why I couldn't focus on that. I need my glasses. I probably shouldn't, though, but whatever.
Suddenly, this title card's going to have review or Game Reveal with glasses.
Yeah, sure, why not? They have to be like the ones with the strap on them, though.
I was just going to go with like the little like reading glasses, like
oh yeah
on the bridge of your
on the
bridge of the bridge of the mask. Yeah.
Totally, because that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
You're farsighted, not nearsighted, right?
No. You're
actually nearsighted?
Yeah.
And you need glasses to read something right in front of you.
I may have made the text too small on this, honestly. But yeah, I rewrote that to... Earl and I had known since we were young. We both... Wait. Had known what since we were young? Had known each other since we were young. That's not even in there. We both hailed from Maysburg, Tennessee, and were riding on full scholarships, period. Having a close companion... So essentially just put the period there to break it up.
Yeah.
Because that whole thing is one sentence.
Mhm.
And then this one is a it's not run on or nothing. I just feel like they use the wrong word, in my opinion, in regards to the tires being slashed. They took out the fucking tires too. What? Yeah, come back here and look. I walked over to him and screamed, bashing the palm of my hand against the side door. I think yelled should be used instead of screamed, because the way I see it, screamed is like in fear, while yell is in anger.
You can use scream in anger, but yeah, yelled is more like a thing that you do in anger.
Yeah.
Do they use like? Do they also? I vaguely recall like him saying, "It's like, oh, the tires have been cut. Come take a look." All right, I came to take a look, and sure enough, the tires were cut. Like, I think like was there like a redundancy there too? Like in that section of the story?
No, like that section I read to you is that section that I copy pasted.
All right.
Just, yeah, come here and look. I walked over to him and screamed, bashing the door.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's all I got for grammar.
Okay. Then on to actual thoughts.
Mhm.
So, I'm going to start with this quote here. The advertisement explicitly stated that the cabin had absolutely none of the modern luxuries the modern world provided us, electricity, central heating, internet, or even any kind of reception due to its isolation. The perfect vacation. I believe you mean the perfect horror story setup.
That as well.
Like every cabin in the woods genre movie ever.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's even the basic premise of The Shining.
Yeah. It's like, let's put these characters somewhere where they have no
chance
possible way to contact anyone.
So they're completely on their own because they're foolhardy city slickers who think they can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And then insert slasher / supernatural monster. So on to my next one, my next idea, or actual thought. Been a while since I've seen any of those. Yeah, beautiful, Earl grumbled. Now let's get this bad boy back to the cabin. We tied up the calf and carried it back, though we said little. I'm not sure if the others could sense it, but I had the feeling we were being watched by something lurking in the shadows. No, I'm not sure, but I feel like this should have been there should have been a little bit more of a transition from wonderment of the Northern Lights to the unease and anxiousness. Just while reading it, it felt like suddenly like they were suddenly feeling uneasy and like shaken, right out, like just out of nowhere. Like it was just like at one point, like first one I was like, oh man, the Northern Lights, so beautiful. It's like, all right, let's go. And it's like, and then like the whole walk there, we didn't talk because we felt like we were being watched, kind of thing. It's just, and maybe like Earl's like grumblings was enough, but it just seemed like, to me personally, like I would have liked a little bit more transition. Yeah. Between like the wonderment to the unease. Mm-hmm. Like maybe
we started talking on the way back, but then we started talking less and less.
Yeah, like perhaps like question, or like maybe somebody questioning Earl, like what's got you in a dizzy, kind of like that. And then my next one here. Also, sorry, this is gonna be another run-on sentence. Mason and I leapt to our feet and grabbed our rifles and coats, racing out to the woodshed, where we already out of wind.
Wow.
Where we could see discarded logs and copious amounts of blood, while deep crevices in the snow showed what appeared to have been where he'd been struggling and dragged away, though the cascading flurries were already beginning to cover this. Yeah, so a little long-winded because there's only commas breaking that up. I feel like the weather in this entire story should be brought up.
The whole idea with the weather in this is it comes up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's my thing. My problem with the story is like the weather in the story is kind of it's afterthoughted almost. Like it's like suddenly like there's the Aurora Borealis, and then there's suddenly a blizzard hits them, and then you can see the Aurora Borealis again, and then a blizzard hits them. Like, let me just continue with this quote here. Vaguely, I was aware that in the sky, blood-red Aurora Borealis danced, but I paid it no heed, for I was focusing on finding my friends. And then, like, right afterward, we get this. We eventually, after a grueling struggle through the snow, which was picking up despite the skies being clear, found the first of the injured wolves whimpering and licking its wounds. I guess it could be there could be squalls or like whiteout where like the snow's kicked up.
For once, you're thinking way too realistically on this. It's supernatural snow.
You know, and that's my guess because I was like, first off, I had to actually Google it. Red Aurora Borealis, which actually does exist, it's just very rare.
Mm-hmm.
But again, also Aurora Borealis would not appear in the sky below the cloud cover because Aurora Borealis happens in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah, but he said the sky is clear.
Yeah, yes.
That's why.
But then suddenly there's kicked up snow, like so. I'm wondering.
It's supernatural snow.
Yes,
it ain't
and
real.
That is my counter to my own thoughts. Is that there's something supernatural afoot here? So it's basically they're getting bombarded by like snow spells essentially. But it just seems like the weather in this is very inconsistent, like because it's just coming out like popping up and like dropping like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Which again could be lended to supernatural thought. And then I already mentioned earlier.
It would be interesting if they brought it up.
Yeah, if they actually like
the fact
why
that
the fuck is this goddamn snow just like rip here?
To at least hint that it's something supernatural,
or even like if it isn't like something supernatural, or like not even like that's like the snow, like something like clouds appear and like drop snow down, or like just winds are kicking up all the snow that's on the ground already, like a squall or a clipper, because I've experienced that in normal like in like Ontario driving when I'm on a back road and suddenly the winds have picked up so bad that a whiteout condition happens and like you can't see it like 5 feet in front of your car. Mm-hmm. I brought up already the title drop thing in our comment in the rundown, so I'm not going to mention that one anymore. I awoke to gunshots. Spiraling instinctively in the bed sheets, I grasped at the nightstand and steadied myself, whipping my head about. My eyes finally rested on Mason standing in front of the open window, with the rifle pointed down below while snow blasted onto his face and across the floor. "The fuck you doing?" I gasped. "Trying to kill these damn sons of bitches. They're closer." Okay, so I read that part. When I first started reading that part in the story, I instantly had this thought that might have made it wouldn't have made it better, but it would have been an interesting alternative, I feel. Where he wakes up to a gunshot and Mason's blown his own head off. Because he couldn't have and like to kind of like give it an even darker turn, like Mason, who has sort of been the bookworm, fragile nerd, like kind of empathetic nerd of this group, seeing no other recourse and just putting himself out of the game, could really heighten the damage to Tucker's situation by just like and then Tucker looking at his book and like finding like what the creature is and stuff like that. From like that, I don't think I'm saying this not as if like this would make it better, or like not saying that the what I just read, the quote of him like just firing and then like the later on section of him like going out like guns blazing. Mm-hmm. I don't think that is any worse. I just think this would be an interesting alternative for this scene. Just like him waking up to his friend blowing his own head off because he's realized that they're doomed. Yeah, and then just leaving poor Tucker to himself, basically going out the selfish route, which he kind of does ultimately, but this way it'd been a lot darker.
Because they're having quote unquote fun.
Yeah. So just my kind of idea, like for not an improvement, but like an alternative for the story. Mm-hmm. And then my last of my actual thoughts. I have my pistol trained at the door with my left hand, while my right hand. Okay, I gotta redo that.
It doesn't say the handness.
Yeah, it does. I literally pulled that quote. It doesn't say the right hand. It says the left hand, though. I have my pistol trained at the door with my left hand, while with my right, I write this down. I know it seems foolish to do so, but it is the only way I can escape this horror in the slightest. It feels more like a story than reality within these pages. How very Dagon this story. As I've mentioned earlier in the story, I keep commenting on that. Mm-hmm. And I say that as a compliment, because the ending here, with the narrator not quite finishing the tale as the monster arrives to end them, is done very well to me by the end of this. So I really liked the ending of the story, how it like handled that. And also how it tackled the reason why we're reading the story and why it's being written. Is because he's doing it to like try and calm himself down and not go insane, even though he's like about to die. Mm-hmm. So that's my actual thoughts on the story before we go into final thoughts. So Mike, what do you got?
Alright. So, the whole aspect of them hunting without licenses,
Oh, yeah, that's... yeah.
that just annoyed me.
Okay, so here's something I would bring up in my final thoughts, but I'm going to kind of tease it now. This is straight up a slasher movie. Like, these are douche bro, like, the kind of people that you want to see die in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, they are the basic, like, dumb city slicking teens that go into the cabin in the woods and get eaten by deadites or Jason Voorhees or werewolves. Or all three.
Or who?
Or werewolves.
Oh, yeah.
And so my first quote here is, all of us save Mason, killed one, though we brought only one back.
Assholes.
So they killed 3 elk
And just left them out.
2 of them there.
I mean, I understand why. Like, logistically, they probably couldn't carry the 3.
Yeah.
But it's still a dick move to leave that out, those out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't shoot more than you could take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, as you said yourself, they're douchey dude bros.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the sort of same thing later with the wolves, where Ricky had managed to kill what seemed to be the alpha, a large monstrosity with its muzzle soaked in blood. Ricky playfully gave Earl the finger and grappled the dead wolf by its neck and began heading back the way we came. We all followed suit, and that night prepared a meal out of the small game we'd collected from the days prior. A large wolf.
Yeah, no, that's at least 1,000 pounds. That could be up to 800 pounds or more.
Ricky's a big boy.
Ricky's not a big boy in like muscle, I don't think.
How do you know? He could be fit fat.
That is true. He could be fit fat. But still, like, it would take the 4 of them maybe to carry that thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of dead muscle.
Yeah, and it's assumed that they're at least 1 kilometer or more away from...
They could take dragging turns.
Dragon turns?
Dragging!
Oh!
They take turns dragging.
Yes.
Or they turn into dragons and fly for a little bit.
Well, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. What did it say in the story? It feels more like a story than reality within these pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, they're basically like, man, the Rangers that go out to this place in the spring are just gonna find bodies of every kind out here. Just like, man, there was like, what the fuck happened out here? Like, not even the people, just like all the elk and all the wolves and other like animals that they've killed.
Yeah, just
left.
Yeah.
Alright. My next quote here. They bellowed and howled, their noises ungodly and bone-shattering. Mm-hmm. So at this point, all their bones have been shattered via the noise made by...
Yep.
I will grant you that a better term probably would have been bone-chilling, because that's generally how you... Bone-shattering, though, is a metaphor. It is metaphorical.
Is it?
Yes. Like... Yeah, it's supposed to be like paralyzing, like the bone shattering, like, or bone chilling. Bone chilling is definitely the better option, though. Yeah. But I give him props for trying to find a different word so it's not always bone chilling. I just blame you for picking at it.
Well, he's a very valid point. Like,
does he?
Because like I would use bone shattering if you're describing like being hit with a hammer.
Okay, yeah.
Or a car.
Yeah, it should have been bone chilling, really.
Or blood curdling. Or,
Yeah.
Heart stopping.
Alright.
Pants browning.
Pants pooping.
Well, the pants don't poop.
Do they?
I don't know. Do they? Do you feed?
Keep going.
Okay.
Alright. So, the next part is a piece of dialogue I have issue with. Mason! I cried, dragging myself back away from the door. Mason, get down here! It's Ricky! What? Ricky? I heard him fly down the stairs and saw his hand next to me offering to help me up. Where is he? I blinked and gagged outside the door. Wait, no, don't open it. It's not him, it's his head. The damn things left it for us. Mason ignored my warning. He flung open the door and screamed just as I had. Jesus Christ! You could have told me that instead of saying he was here. And then there was, my bad. My
bad, bro.
Yeah. My bad.
It adds to their character a little bit.
But
yeah,
he told him.
Yeah, he did tell him.
He told him.
He told him too late. He told him too because I was thinking like he's already like opening the door halfway through that warning, and then, no, like it was kind of like the.
If it was actually like that, but he straight up like says all this stuff like, no, it's not him. It's just his head. Don't open the door.
Yeah,
and then he goes ignores his warning and goes opens the door.
That's true. But I can't. Again, it kind of adds to me. It adds a little bit of character to them, like. A little bit of humor in light of all this horror.
I get that he's fucking up. I just wish that he didn't correct himself so quickly.
Yeah,
should have corrected him after. Be like, my bad. I meant sorry. Just his head.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Also, when he he flew down the stairs. Witch.
Yeah. A little bit. No, he slid down the banister.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so my next actual thought is about the werewolf comments.
Yeah. Again, it is the kind of thing that some idiot would say.
Okay, the thing is, like, here's the quote.
Yeah.
Dunno, try to look in here for anything. I looked behind me, and he raised the book to me. To hell with that nonsense. I say they're a bunch of damn werewolves.
Vampires.
Yes, vampires. A bunch of damn werewolves. And I'm like, this comment hurt me physically because we had just been given an explanation that they're wolves that sort of blend in and go from being solid to sort of mist form.
Yeah. So they're vampires.
Or they were just so far away that they looked like they were made of pure shadow. Because it's dark.
Yeah.
But they were supernaturally dark.
Yeah. Honestly, again, you accidentally said vampires, but that's actually closer to what they could be in terms of like Eastern European vampires, not like Hollywood vampires. Because in Hollywood, like Eastern European vampires or like vampires, they can shapeshift into wolves and other things. Mm-hmm. They can also become like darkness and stuff, and they are not like two fang bites on your blah 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 blah. That's all Hollywood stuff. Yeah. They rip out your jugular or practically rip off your head. So like, who's to say that that's like not how they actually do it? So like, these could be. I mean, we find out what they actually are, but they could have been like old school Dampiers. And
you're also assuming that a character would know this.
Exactly. Yeah.
If a character knew this, then yes, that would be more accurate.
Also,
but
he is a literary major, so I mean, like he might his go-to for werewolf might be actually it was also vampire, but or like
if he rolled better
on his occult knowledge,
yeah. No, and the part that really takes the cake here is that later it goes on saying, "Used to have nightmares about werewolves." He chuckled, though his eyes were wide. I mean, I guess it's the only thing that makes sense.
Okay, they are hectic, it's in the moment, and they're stupid dude bros, as we have commented on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Like, I understand your pain. You would be the guy in the corner just like, they're fucking idiots.
Yep.
They are not werewolves. And then you would point out why they're not werewolves based off of your knowledge of werewolves and pop culture.
And then it begins to redeem itself with the one guy with his book saying that they're not werewolves.
Yeah.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah. But it's just that whole section was like,
Yeah. Yeah. It was that moment in the movie where like that guy was talking and all the audience was groaning because he was being stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my final actual thought here is that The monster is actually a member of the Natural Task Force.
What?
You threw us both for a loop.
The
there.
National Task Force? The NTS? Or the
NTF.
SNTF? The NTF?
Yeah,
What's the NTF? Is that like
it's more Aboriginal.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So it's like, is Sasquatch part of the NTF? Because they're more of like spiritual guardians and stuff, generally.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That's fine.
Yeah, they're not a competitor. They're not a rival. They're just another group that works alongside the SNTF occasionally.
They're for Gaia.
They're more for nature.
Yeah, they're the Secret World Legends division of the SNTF.
Yeah, they're more about preserving nature than keeping other things away from people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's probably why nobody comes out here, because like it's part of the NTF.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I don't have a problem with this anymore. Gamer, what do you got?
Let's see. Well, my first quote in my notes is, "It became soon apparent afterwards that we all shared passion for the hunt. And this made me immediately put Flack in this story from Borderlands, because I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3, and he's all about the hunt.
Okay.
100%. Like,
way to date the podcast.
I don't give a shit.
Way to date the podcast, that's a weekly thing, and we're only like a couple of weeks of lag time.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just immediately like, okay, all about the hunt. All right, so Tucker, you are now Flack. And then he starts describing his friends. One of his name is his best friend's name is Earl, who is Crazy Earl, obviously from Borderlands. And then of course his friend Ricky is a huge dude, so he's clearly like Goliath. He's one of the big fat guys in Borderlands, right? So I'm envisioning this story as it plays out if it's in Borderlands in the winter.
You are the gamer in yellow.
Thanks.
I cannot prosecute you.
Yeah, I know.
For talking video game logic in a creepypasta.
Yep.
Where it isn't.
You're face bombing so hard right now.
Oh.
But yeah, and also that helped me differentiate the characters a lot better, because I'm like, oh,
because they have no description whatsoever.
Not really. Oh, Ricky's talking. Okay, he's the big Goliath. Okay, cool. Tucker, yeah, he's the robot. He's the robot Beastmaster.
We know that Ricky is Food Santa, so he is big.
Yes.
That is his one. He's the only well-described character because he is just described as being very corpulent.
Visually, yes.
Yes.
He's the only one visually described. But everyone else has character, just not visually.
Yeah, it's all personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we have Grumpy, which is Earl. We have Fatso, which is Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Bookworm, which is the scholarly Bookworm, which is Mason, and then we have
our leader Tucker.
And then we have Wonder Bread, Tucker.
Yep. Plain white bread. Pretty much.
I assume.
Yes, of course. But yeah, moving on. So this next quote I misread. The quote is, "We reached out to the one who posted this opportunity, an old woman who summered here with her husband for a few weeks in June." I read that as an old woman who summoned here with her husband. Like she's a witch of some kind.
Suddenly, the whole like supernatural bullshit makes sense.
Yeah. She summoned all this shit.
It's really just summoning like a location that like is like really tied to like a ley line or like an Alkira.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they basically, this is what happens when you accidentally Kijiji the lodge of a mage or a shaman.
Yep, 100%. Makes sense to me.
Hashtag Shadowrun.
It's the only thing that makes sense, as I can quote this.
By the way, we have a new podcast called the One Less Die Podcast, which is a Shadowrun and Gaming's actual play podcast.
Way to plug that very subtly.
So we've been playing a lot of Shadowrun.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Which has been feeding my need to play Borderlands, which has been feeding the need to put it in this.
Yes.
But moving on. Ricky, who was comparable in size to an elephant, was
Wow!
the main culprit.
Rude!
Yeah, a little rude. Yeah.
Like, shit.
Yeah. Could have been a little nicer.
Like, is it sad that, like, is it sad, like, the entire, when that came up in the descriptions of it, I just envisioned the Blob from X-Men.
Yeah.
Just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Pretty big boy.
Or I just envisioned, like, an actual elephant, like, from Zootopia.
Yeah. Then, moving on. I fired the gun. The bullets piercing through the calf's hind leg. That's when he's shooting the calf, obviously. Yeah. It shrieked. I fired thrice more, bringing the beast down.
Do you not know what thrice is?
I know what thrice means. Both the times I've said thrice, you're like, do you not know?
No, because the first time you, like, when you were like, when one of us brought it up, I think it was you, Mikey, when you brought it up in your Conjunction Junction, and I just saw your face like, what? Like,
it wasn't to the thrice,
okay.
It was to something else.
Okay.
But regardless, my response to that is, wow, you guys aren't very good shots, are you? I'm surprised they hit squirrels. Meanwhile, they had to shoot this, like, crying calf.
Like, it's probably about, like, 2.5
4
feet.
times.
Probably about 2.5 feet, 3 feet long, or in size. Versus, like, rabbits and squirrels and birds, which are, like, maybe less than a foot in size.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if I would refer to it as a beast. Like, I fired thrice more, finally bringing the beast down. I don't know if I would call a crying...
Bringing
young,
Bambi down, essentially. Yeah.
I'm calling it a beast.
Yeah, no, these, well, again, douche bros.
Yeah, like, I get you're trying to make yourself feel more badass, I suppose, but...
For picking on a poor, crying baby animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why I can't ever go hunting, is because I could not deal with, like, I'll shoot rifles and stuff like that. I will not go hunting.
Yeah, I would target
I have way
more than
too much
anything.
animal empathy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But moving on.
Yeah.
This is a quote from Earl. Yeah, beautiful. Now let's get this bad boy back to the cabin. Now tell me that doesn't sound like a line the crazy old say.
I was almost thought you were going to say it's like, yeah, whatever. Like,
what you want?
What you want? Where's that iridium?
Yeah.
Where's that purple? Where's that pretty purple stuff?
He even talks like Earl.
What do you want?
It's pretty awesome.
God, I hate you.
That's fine. That's totally fine. So my next quote here, and my last note here, is we were correct. It's about a mile and a half away from where I'd shot the calf. We found a handful of very large elk shambling along the next day, occasionally nibbling on the frozen ground. All of us, save for Mason, killed one, though we brought only one back. So at this point, I'm like, this is like the second or third day they've gone out hunting. And I'm like, this is a very murdery bunch of people, aren't they?
They are murder hobos.
This is day 3, and I've done a list of their kills.
Oh my god.
So day 1, they did drinking.
Yes.
Day 2, they killed 12 animals.
So no, wait, hang on. Day 1, they killed several
brain cells.
No, not several brain cells. They killed several 24 packs of beer.
Yes, that's true.
They killed those beers.
They did. And then they killed 12 animals on day 2, 12 animals on day 3, quote unquote more small game plus the calf. So I'm assuming maybe like 6, like half of their 12 before. And then day 5 they killed 3 adult elk. Day 6 they drank. Day 7 they killed 4 wolves. Earl died. Day 8 they
You're
killed...
counting Earl as one of their kills?
No, I'm just mentioning it.
The wolves are trying to catch up with them.
Yeah, they got 1 kill so far.
Yeah.
And then day 8 they killed 3 wolves at the den, 2 that escaped, and then day 9 the car died. But they didn't do that.
Yeah, that was again the wolves.
Regardless,
that is a lot of dead animals.
They shot 49 animals in 8 days.
Holy fucking shit.
So maybe the Wahila were just Mother Nature's keepers of balance.
No. Like Mikey said.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the NTS.
Yeah, like these kids were starting to wipe out the wild animal population here, so they needed to be taken care of.
They were douchebags because they didn't have regulation, like licenses or anything like that. So they were just killing willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm.
They were leaving bodies left, right, and center in the wilderness. And just taking things for fun. Yeah, again, like I have it in my final thoughts. I'm on Team Wahila by the end of the story.
Well, that's a good segue to your final thoughts.
All right, I guess we're going to final thoughts. So, the story has a really big issue with weather description and not bringing them up, but just flinging the forecast around kind of willy-nilly to me. Mm-hmm. I found it hard to keep track of when there was a blizzard and when there wasn't.
Like it says when it shows up,
I
it
was
doesn't say
actually-
when it calms down.
Yeah, like I was actually having that thing that you commonly have, a gamer, where like you can't figure out what's going on in the scene.
And you have to keep rebuilding it in your head.
Yeah. Like it didn't ruin it for me, but it definitely made it tiring. Like I was almost falling asleep in a couple of points and halfway through the story.
That may have just been because you're tired now.
I might have been really tired when I was reading the story, but and I'm pretty sure Northern Lights can't be seen behind cover or behind cloud cover, though the supernatural is clearly involved in the story. So maybe it isn't actually the Aurora Borealis as we know it. Maybe it's just the spiritual like energy in the air from like what they've done.
Like they're essentially like tainting the sky red with all the blood that
yeah, like that's why it's affecting it. Like like it's like because it was green initially, and then as they started blowing away 49 animals, it became completely blood red sky.
Yeah.
So it was basically thematic or atmospheric weather.
Haha.
Yes.
I like what you did there.
Thank you.
With fear.
I actually I have Terry Pratchett to thank for that, because in the Discworld novels there is an actual weather phenomena called of atmosphere in one of the regions that's like kind of Transylvania based,
Nice.
where weather happens based on the amount of fear and like emotion in the air and like to heighten the emotion and like drama of a scene.
Interesting. All right.
So anyway, moving on. I found the slow burn isolation at the end was rough to read at first. Again, I might have been a little sleepy while reading the story, and then I did end up getting a coffee at a point of reading the story, and it did and I did suddenly start getting more and more invested. But I'm not sure if that's because the story picked up for me by the end, or if it was the coffee kicking in. I will admit that. Regardless, I feel like the ending did really kind of pick up. Whereas the kind of slow burn in the middle was a slow burn, but it was kind of hard for me to read at points. The kills were graphic, but in a satisfyingly disturbing way. Mason's end was particularly good or fun, in quotes, to me. The way he went out, guns sort of blazing, and then the next time Tucker sees him, his headless body is getting dragged away, and then the next day, his bloody mess of a body is left out in front of the cabin as a message. Like, I found that very disturbing, but in like a really satisfying reading way.
Yeah.
Like just the way he was like, he went out there like a couple of shots, and then like the next time you see him, he's dead. Like there's no like showing of it. He's just dead, being dragged away. And then when Tucker wakes up and checks outside the next morning, his body's left out there again, headless. Like, it was a nice like graphic touch.
It's one of the few times where a character can be killed off screen and it works.
Yes.
Or it doesn't make you angry. Like
it amps up the kind of like dread and tension, because like, holy fuck.
And like the lethality of these creatures.
Yeah, because they're just like popping heads like nothing. The cat and mouse game of the Wahila is really good to me. Like, I really liked that part, as like it almost feels like a true blue slasher flick, as we have a bunch of dumb young folk going out into the woods and being stupid and disrespectful to nature, and these monsters strike back at like Voorhees strikes back at dumb kids just like being idiots, or like insert every fucking Cabin in the Woods style movie. I keep bringing it up in this discussion, but like
they're in a cabin in the woods. I understand.
They're literally in a cabin in the woods, and they were literally being attacked by monsters for being idiots. And I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I'm on Team Wahila by the end of the story. Like, these other characters, while we get to know them a little bit, are there to die, and I'm fine with that, because they are dumb in their actions. It's that kind of a story that's being told. It's like much in the same way as like popcorn movies, like slasher flicks and stuff like that.
I'll say Mason didn't really deserve it.
Mason didn't, but the way he died, it was actually really nice. Like, it was, I mean,
out of context, man. Out of context.
Yes, as a narrative point of view, like from a narrative standpoint, it was a nice touch.
Yeah.
It could use a bit of editing. Okay, maybe a lot of editing. But I feel I would still recommend this story if you like slasher-style horror and slow burn isolation. But that's about as much as I can recommend it for. Like, if you kind of like those two things, then how they come together. But it does need a couple of runs of editing, because there is a lot of issues here. And I know, like, some people will argue that it's like, oh, it's immersion level, because, like, he's writing all this, like, with his left hand, which may or may not be his prominent hand.
He's writing with his right hand.
Oh, right, yeah, he's writing with his right hand.
Which still may or may not be his prominent hand.
And he's, while he is an English major, he is in a life or death situation, writing this down just to save his sanity. Mm-hmm. So, like, I know, like, but that can only go so far when it comes to writing style. Mm-hmm. Generally, you want to make it like it's a compromise of, like, mm-hmm. it's a double-edged sword and a compromise of, like, good writing, like good structural writing versus immersive writing play. Mm-hmm. So. That's my final thoughts and recommendation is I would recommend it if you like slasher flicks and slow burn isolated horror, because that's kind of what we get in the story. And by the end, it really picks up, at least for me. So, Mikey, what do you got?
Well, I was on Team Wahila as soon as they started hunting a lot without a hunting license.
Yeah. I don't know what this creature is yet, but I am so on their team. I don't know what's going to kill them, but I am so on their team.
Yeah, that, like, basically almost from the get-go, I was like, I hope they all die.
Yeah, no,
wow.
And, like, it's a classic slasher flick kind of, like, motif. Like, the guys are those guys, those idiots, and yeah, they deserve what's coming to them.
Yeah, and their banter to me just helped establish that they were idiots.
They were dude bros? Yeah.
Yeah.
Food Santa.
Yeah.
Food Santa.
Yeah. And for me, it didn't start getting good until Mason was dead.
Right? Yeah, no, I get you. Like, I wasn't sure if it was because the caffeine was flowing at that point, but, like, it was a bit of a slog, that halfway point of the story. Mm-hmm. And then the beginning of the story, I was like, all right, so this guy's an English major. He's not really an English major, is he? Or if he is, like, this is really not, like, this needs a couple of passes of editing.
Well,
but, like, by the end, like, I was actually kind of invested in what was happening.
I think my reasoning why that is because there's no real sense of fear until it's one person isolated.
Yeah. And all his friends have been picked off, and the best of them has just been killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean best of them?
I mean, Mason was probably the best of them. Like, in terms of, like,
as a person?
Yeah, as a human being.
Yeah.
Like, he was the best of them, because, like, he was the empathetic one. He was also he actually was kind of in the know, or, like basically just in the know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, with that said...
Damn it, also when you said that, I feel like at some point, if I'm going to be playing in some tabletop game and I'm being, like, a inquisitive person that knows a lot of things, my name is going to be Justin in the Know. I'm Justin in the Know.
Justin the Know.
Just in the know. Yeah. The know.
To know, yeah.
Justin the Know.
Justin to know.
Yeah, and I just know a little bit about everything.
Is that going to be your new Shadowrun alias?
Maybe.
Along with Dwayne-Tonio Banderock?
Banderock. Yeah.
God damn it.
Write that down so I remember that.
Alright, continue.
Yeah, so for me, the fact that it didn't get good until the end, and it's a long story.
It is 19 pages worth of pages of writing. So I think it's about 8,000 words. Because the guy actually had a word count for each of his stories, and this was like the second highest one he's done. So sorry.
Yeah, I personally can't recommend it.
That's fair. It is a little long-winded. My recommendation is really if you're into slasher like horror and like you like these kind of tropes and stuff like that, and don't mind slow burn horror. But yeah, that's fair. Putting it plainly. But Mikey, but Gamer,
you used to go again.
What did you really think? Gamer.
Well, for me, yeah, it's slow. It takes about half the story for things to actually start happening. Like, you guys said that it got good when it was only Tucker left. I felt like it started escalating as soon as I don't want to.
When
it starts escalate. It escalates at every death. So there is an escalation at Earl.
Yeah.
It's kind of minor. They're just like, oh, the wild animals killed them. Like, you don't know that it's not that just wild animals. But as soon as, like, Ricky dies, like, it still could be wild animals. But they're, like, very viciously after them at that point.
Yeah, and then they're trapped in the cabin is when we kind of start seeing that their patterns are definitely weird.
Yeah. As soon as he dies, all the shit after that, it gets way more real.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it is a slow burn. It takes a while to get into it. But that being said, I didn't feel the need to like take a break when reading it. Like I read all of it in one day.
Did. I read it Monday, and then I took a day, and read it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
but yeah. I just sat down and read the whole thing and just powered through it. And maybe I only had a few grammar things, and it's grammar things that you guys didn't have. But I don't know if I turned my brain off for doing grammar later on. Like, that one thing, I forget which one you said. Like, there's no way I could have missed that, but I missed it somehow.
I have the list right here.
It's not worth it.
Hang on. Moderns, run-on, eyeing.
The Aang.
The Aang?
Aang. Yeah. How could I have missed that? But I did. Because I was just into the story.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
the thing is, with the story is, like, we get a lot of dude bro character development.
Mm-hmm.
The halfway, like from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C is when the horror starts kind of kicking in.
Yeah.
So like if you read this like from like page 1 to 13, like that's kind of like the character development of these characters, and then like 13 to 19 is actually kind of like the main like meat of the horror of the story.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the horror that's there is good. And well, I just
What was that sigh, Mikey?
Well,
he's allowed his opinion.
My issue with the whole comment of page 1 to 13 is for character development. Character development is mostly so that you can get attached to the characters. Yeah. But in this story, it actually pushes you away because of how douchey they are. That is a personal opinion thing, because like that's the same reason why like half a movie in a slasher flick is about like the dude bros and idiots like just hanging around and fucking around at the campsite or at the cabin while the slasher killer is killing like off like an authority figure and off like in random scene, or like picking off the late person.
Yeah.
Like it's all about like building up the characters so that you get to know them a little bit before they die. Like yeah, like again, like I can't name them, but I know I know almost all the Friday the 13th movies all the Friday the 13th movies do that in some regard. Like it's like 30 to 40 minutes of the movie is about building these characters up, making them hateable and likable in certain degrees.
Yeah.
And some of them are hateable like throughout the entire right to the beginning, more so than others, and like more population of the hateful ones versus the likable ones. But that just makes them dying fun or funner. Like that's the kind of like horror story this is telling, is the fun horror story where like we're rooting for the monster, not the victims.
Kind of, yeah. Like I still think that Mason shouldn't have died, but I think because of what happened, he should have. However, I propose an alternate to some different scenes where essentially, what if they made it so Mason throughout this entire trip didn't kill a single thing?
So he was spared.
So yeah, and when they're in a situation when they're surrounded or something, or he's the one who trips, but they just keep running,
and they ignore him. They assume that he's dead, but then he comes back and it's like, you guys left me, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think that would have been cool. I think that my counter to like he shouldn't have died, I think his death actually makes the story more powerful.
Yes, 100%.
That is like the reason he died. It actually makes it so much more impactful.
Yes,
because we actually care more about Mason than any other character in this movie, in the story.
Yeah.
I could care less if Tucker. Like I cared less if Tucker died.
Yeah, he's kind of the worst, honestly.
Yeah, he's the one that was swearing. He was the one that shot first. Not Han Solo.
No, of course
But
not.
Tucker died first. Or Tucker shot first.
Mhm.
And a calf to boot. Like, a fucking baby. We might be might be a little too empathetic toward animals as readers for the story.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, out of all of them, I have to 100%, Mason was the best of them.
Yes, for sure. 100%.
But yeah, like, I kind of would like, that would have been an interesting thing if he had, like, been missing or, like, maybe intentionally missing all of his shots. Maybe he wasn't really actually into this. When he finally got, maybe this was his first time hunting. He'd been like shooting and stuff like that. But this was his first time actually killing something, and so maybe he wasn't really into that. Like he was just into like the hangouts kind of part of like this get together.
Mm-hmm. It's like Mark with D&D. He doesn't want to play.
Joe the theater douche. Yeah, and our D&D games.
Yeah,
he's just there really for the social interaction. He doesn't actually care for the game itself.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm speaking for him, but either way.
But to be fair, any of our Patreon listeners have an example of that with our Pax Vobis game.
Yeah, totally.
Because I'm sure that recording you'd hear me yelling at Mark as I'm trying to run a game, and he just wants everybody to drink.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway,
but yeah,
our friends aside, our slasher movie victim friends aside,
yeah, a little bit. But yeah, it would be interesting if he didn't. I'm wondering what would have happened if there was someone there that caused no harm to nature. If he would even be seeing the red sky, if he would be seeing these creatures at all, or if he'd just be seeing his friend. And then his friend just goes, and his head gets popped off.
I think that he
for no
should
reason.
Still be able to see it.
Yeah,
but. I think it would be cool if he was just basically like blessed or untouched, untouchable by them because he wasn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm. And then that would show the ones who are getting picked off that like this is why.
Yeah, like
this
the ones that aren't just like savage monsters. Like they're a boogeyman, but they're a boogeyman with a moral in that don't fuck nature because nature will fuck you back.
Yeah,
and she is not a kind mistress.
No, not at all. Yeah,
she's more like a praying mantis biting your head off.
A little bit. Well, yeah, that's the only way I can really think of it being better because the characters all the other characters, they're all douchey in their own way, so they deserve to die. Mason didn't. It would be cool to see an alternative of someone who hasn't been hurting everyone. That being said, the story itself, I enjoyed all the way through. The grammatical errors are very minor to the point that I didn't stumble over any of them.
Yeah,
I didn't even stumble over A-ing.
But you did get a lot of long-winded. Like,
yeah. I'm agreeing with you there. There's a lot of run-on sentences and everything, but I can't give the story shit for being long because it gives a lot of time to explain what they're doing, what these characters are like, so you can get to know them.
Yeah,
I would rather know way too much than not enough about characters, like in some stories where it's like this guy's name's Bill. And he gets killed by the monster. Moving on.
Yeah. Paper, cardboard cutout complete.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
and that happens way too often in stories that we read. Like the whole either very shallow characters, like basically stereotypes.
Yeah.
Or because these guys have a stereotype in that they are the dude bro jackasses who go out into the woods. But they also have a depth to them. Like they're not described physically, but we all got a sense of their personalities.
Yeah,
through the story. Mm-hmm. So.
One's a robot beastmaster. One is a. But yes, overall, I really enjoyed the story, and I have to fully recommend it.
Okay, cool. Well, that was this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment. Leave us a comment in the comment section below. This gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like to discuss on the show. If you'd like to send us a message on Twitter, Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow without the W because his name's too long.
It has to be long. It's for the glory of the king.
And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us ratings and reviews on iTunes or any other podcasting platform you listen to us on. Help us spread like a virus and let people know and let us know how we're doing. Because I generally I'll occasionally peruse to see if there's any new reviews and ratings and stuff, and it helps us gain more of a rep out there in the internet land. So
we do want to know if we're doing things bad.
Yes,
if there's ways that we can improve.
And to those of us that are still listening after all the tangent things, yes, we know we go on tangents. I'm sorry. It's probably still going to happen. And we're still going to have to keep the tangent police at bay. And if you'd like to help support the show, you go to Patreon. Look up Dente Rigamortis on Patreon and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2, $5 tier with special episode, extra content, early access, all that stuff. It really does help the show. You're helping keep the hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. We'd like to thank our patrons for that, because seriously, you guys are awesome. And you also get access, as a patron, you also get access to our Discord. So you can actually talk to us or suggest things directly to us through the Discord, because we're generally on there all the time.
60% of the time.
It works
we're on
all
there.
the time.
No, we're on there all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you guys immensely, because seriously, without your listenership or your authorship for these stories, we wouldn't have any content for the show or any kind of feedback for the show. So thank you. Until next time, I've been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
This has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.
ASMR bank robbery.
ASMR ADR.
Yo. Because that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, no. God, nobody wants to hear our horrible voices at ASMR.
I don't think they want to hear them at all.
Yeah. Apparently, a bunch of people from Michigan do.
That's true.
God bless you, Michigan. You are our southwestern brothers.